Hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, the sound of a mouse roaring. This is from a 2007 paper on hantavirus. Check this out. Recognizing preventing the next pandemic, be it H5N1 influenza, an efficient human-to-human hantavirus, or as yet unidentified pathogen, can be achieved only through strategic animal-human health partnerships and enhanced global disease. New World hantaviruses, which typically cause cardiopulmonary disease, initial recognition in North America rapidly led to the description of numerous newly recognized viruses in excess of 30 species found throughout the Americas. New World hantaviruses are associated with a plethora of rodent host species in the Sigmodontine subfamily, each with unique rodent virus species pairing. These viruses cause a spectrum of clinical illnesses designated as new hantaviruses associated American hemorrhagic fever, and thought to represent a co-evolutionary relationship between New World rodents and their viruses. Wow. In that title, hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, the sound of a mouse roaring. Roaring? Seriously? Remember patient zero. Patient zero. His name is Leo. And Leo means lion. And Leo, the constellation, the lion, is at its highest point right now. And looking at this character, Leo, he kind of looks like a skinny, older version of Matt Damon, whose movie Odyssey is coming out. And if you remember the 33-day Atlantic Odyssey that turned into a hantavirus nightmare, it's a little too on the money. Of course, the Odyssey movie coming out on the 17th of July. But he also, with the name Leo, you can think of Leonardo DiCaprio. And I looked into his name, and boy, that's something. Leonardo means lion, just like Leo. But his name DiCaprio means of the goat. Now, you got lion and goat. That's almost a chimera, right? So I looked it up. And what do you know? Leonardo DiCaprio's snake with bright orange eyes discovered in Panama jungle. 5 species of previously unknown snakes with stunning eyes were discovered in jungle trees, and one was named after Leonardo DiCaprio. Now, when you name something after someone, that means behind. After means behind. What is behind? On a behind, a tail. A snake tail. So you got lion, goat, snake. Leonardo represents a chimera. And if you remember, in the COVID-19 pandemic, they were talking about how the virus was lab-made and had chimeric qualities to it. Which makes me go back to the hantavirus thing. What if, it's a crazy theory here, because remember the twindemic that they kept pushing during COVID-19, and then they talked about Flurona, that was with the flu and coronavirus hybrid that they were threatening would happen. Merge with each other and make. What did they say? It could make the Frankenvirus. Nope, that's highlight there. Frankenvirus. Look, it's possible. They said it. They said it's true. SARS-CoV-2, the virus that causes COVID-19, almost certainly originated from a hybridization of 2 different coronaviruses. The details remain hazy, but the virus's genome sequence suggests that the mashup occurred in a bat about a decade ago. The bat was simultaneously infected with 2 closely related coronaviruses, which merged together. That's all I'm allowed to read because they said I have to pay to read more. What if, because in both those articles, we have H5N1 mentioned, and we have the hantavirus mentioned, and a possible third unidentified virus. Now, if the script goes the way I think it might, Either we'll have a twindemic, or they'll call it maybe a polypandemic, who knows what they'll call it. Or we'll have like a crossing of two different viruses. I can see it now in the news. Hanta5N1.
I've been practicing. I made a pigeon rat.
Not naturally, of course. The lab made in a synth-bio terrorist attack.
New information is coming in about the Clade X virus. Let's go right to our medical reporter, Emily Schmidt, for details. Emily?
Gene, anonymous U.S. government sources have told GNN that the genetic sequences of Clade X from the initial Frankfurt case reveal the virus has some genetic elements of the Nipah virus mixed in with the para-influenza genes. Some experts have speculated on social media that this new virus may not have occurred naturally. They suspect the virus escaped from a laboratory researching a vaccine for Nipah. Others say it is probably occurring naturally, and there may have been some exchange of genetic elements between the viruses. CDC and WHO cannot confirm these reports and say they have no evidence of a laboratory mishap or that the virus is a biological weapon.
GNN has just learned a group calling itself A Brighter Dawn, or ABD, is claiming responsibility for the creation and intentional release of the Clade X virus. In a YouTube video, a spokesman for the group says the goal is to reduce the human population to pre-industrial levels. That, he says, will bring the world back into balance and prevent the destruction of the planet. The spokesman is anonymous. He speaks English, but with what sounds like a British or European accent. Intelligence sources say they were aware of the group, but there were no indications ABD intended to launch any kind of attack. The CDC and WHO are not commenting on the authenticity of ABD's claims that it created the Clade X virus in a laboratory, subsequently unleashing it on the world.
I don't know. Crazy ideas. But I'm wondering, with the Leonardo DiCaprio, with his name, if it's possible that he might be one of the first celebrity victims of the hantavirus. Maybe not die, but get sick. Like, Tom Hanks got sick with COVID. He was the first, I believe, get the coronavirus. What if DiCaprio is one of the first to get the hantavirus? Back to Odyssey again. Right. And speaking of Odyssey, Leonardo DiCaprio just happens to be on board for a new documentary on Stanley Kubrick's 2001 Space Odyssey, and they're calling it Monolith. And if you recall, all the monoliths that kept popping up during the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, associating that whole thing with 2001 Space Odyssey. And the Metascript on DiCaprio goes a bit deeper. Allegedly, one of his accusers, Hayden Panettiere, has a major ties to Disney. There's your mouse connection right there, Disney, Mickey Mouse. Photo of her with what looks like to be Katy Perry, does it not? Katy Perry recently at the Met Gala 2026 in her ridiculous astronaut outfit, and she was one of the first celebrities to quote-unquote go to space. And she is performing at FIFA, the World Cup, which everyone suspects will be the launching point of the alien reveal, possibly at 6/11, 6/11. Another Met Gala outfit, Madonna came in with the surrealist painting inspired by the temptation of St. Anthony in a towering three-headed figure in a flowing white gown. The composition is layered with symbols tied to the legend of St. Anthony resisting earthly temptation in the Egyptian desert. Another Egyptian connection with this whole thing that I mentioned in the previous video with Gene Hackman's death. There were signs of mummification with Gene and his wife Betsy, who died of hantavirus. There were signs of mummification with the bodies. Now, the patient zero of the cruise ship, Leo, I can't say his last name, Leo meaning lion, of course. His wife, Merjam, or I think it's pronounced like Miriam. The roots of that name go back to Egypt. So there's Egyptian ties in there as well. So more Egyptian things. Plus the dog star Sirius is heavily to do with Egyptian culture. But I digress. Madonna sporting a black ship on her head. Now that ties us back to the Odyssey. Black ships are an omen, bringing doom, possibly plague. Is this Madonna portending the future? Because this happened before the cruise ship. There's another event that Madonna portended, and that was at Eurovision in 2019, just before COVID-19 pandemic. Her song Future, Not Everyone Is Coming to the Future. There was gas masks, and she talked about a storm within us brewing. Another time-traveling prophet. That song Future is from her album Madam X. It makes me think back to when Erica Kirk was being compared to Madam X.
This just keeps on getting weirder. These are two different women named Erica Kirk, both spelled with a K. One was the First Lady of Florida in the 1960s to the 70s, married to former Governor Claude Kirk, who passed in September, almost similar to Charlie Kirk. Claude Kirk was even mentioned as a presidential and vice presidential candidate. And when he introduced Erica to people, he introduced her as Madam X. All of these massive stories came up because everyone wanted to know who she was. And this is the other Erica Kirk people know today, and the one we've all seen all over the news for the past couple of months. But here's where it gets even crazier. They even look similar. Blonde hair, same camera-ready, polished vibe, both in the political scene, and both even married Republicans. Even the makeup style seems a bit similar. Even articles back then talked about her emerald green eyes. And what's the first thing people notice about Erica Kirk today? Her eyes. All I'm saying is pattern recognition matters, and it just keeps on getting weirder and weirder.
It makes me wonder if this whole fake cloning story was a subtle hint at what was to come with Madonna's outfit, and the whole Madam X thing, and predicting a future pandemic. Another ship I'd like to mention right now is Mayflower that appears on the new 2026 quarter. You know how in 2020 they had a picture of a bat with the coronavirus. Well, they have a picture of the ship, the Mayflower specifically. And the 1st of May was a full moon called Flower, your Mayflower. And this month, there's 2 full moons, which is a rare occurrence. A double full moon in 2026. The month of May 2026 is being regarded as exceptionally significant for astrology enthusiasts. A rare celestial phenomenon occurring in the sky has captured the interest not only of scientists but also astrologers. This time, 2 full moons set to occur within a single month. An occurrence considered extremely powerful lunar alignment in astrology. It is believed that this dual lunar energy could usher in sudden changes, emotional fluctuations, and new opportunities in the lives of several zodiac signs. Now, the second of the 2 moons is called a blue moon. Whenever there's 2 moons in a month, the second one's called a blue moon. This dual lunar energy, many are also referring to this as the influence of blue moon energy. Therefore, May 2026 may prove to be not merely another calendar month, but rather a period of introspection and transformation. No kidding. But yeah, isn't that wild? May 1st, the Mayflower.
okay. Same old game, I see it play.
Thank you for saving us. You saved us.
We're so glad to be found by friends. You are our friends. And we are the same race.
Once, someone told me they read in a book that we all lived on the earth together, that we were all brothers. The book was called the Bible, and it said that God created men and animals.
What is this?
Atom bomb.
It's a make-believe world.
Are you talking to me? No way, Paul!